Hello Saberland. I just finished this Ahsoka. This is a Parks Ahsoka, so it is very small. It has a 3/4 inch tube going all the way through it. I believe this is actually smaller than the EFX version, which made it very, very troublesome to convert. It's got a Crystal Focus version 6 in it. I chose the version 6 because the way I was putting in the soundboard with the power extender, there was just no way to add that extra thickness to it and have it work out. So Crystal Focus version 6 allowed me to use the onboard power extender for Flash on Clash, and that made it able to actually fit in. So let me kind of show you just a couple things. It's very clean, not too much going on there that you'll notice. So the Crystal Focus version 6 sits right here, and it actually takes up about that much space, more or less. Then you have two 18350 batteries backed up right to a copper heatsink. This is a TCSS version 2 new style heatsink that I trimmed down to match the inside diameter of that 3/4 inch tube. So I had to cut off the threaded base and use it, and the Tri-Rebel, which is green, red, orange, I had to trim that down just slightly, and also the lens element just slightly to fit in the tube. I used a set screw, a 440 set screw, to hold the heatsink in, and the 440 set screw is actually right about to the edge of that copper button underneath there. That actually holds the lens element and the heatsink in right there. The batteries back up right up next to it, and the Crystal Focus touches almost exactly the batteries. There is an 18mm speaker, just like this one, in a tiny 3/4 inch tube speaker housing right back here in the pommel. It sits right about there. The recharge port, I tried to do it inside the pommel, but there was just no way to keep unscrewing the pommel and not have wires break. So the recharge port is now down here. Parks uses a fully rounded pommel, but the EFX and all the screenshots I saw have a squared off edge. So I went in there and squared that off, which gave me a little bit of clearance to get that nut, and I rounded off the nut so it doesn't look quite like a nut, and put that on there to keep the recharge port there. This easy access to the recharge port, and we got sound holes. There was no way for me, the way I did it, to put it in either one of these spots, the Cover Tech or this, the way Parks has it, mainly because the Crystal Focus is there and there's just no room. I don't know where else you would put a recharge port. You could probably do it up here, but that would mean that you would have to move the lens assembly and everything way up to the front, which would give you very little blade depth. Maybe here, and use that as a kill key. Still, you're running into depth. It would be a pain, but doable, possibly. But there it is. So I want to show you the blade retention screw as a little tiny 440 set screw right there. See it in the light. It's really small, really small. The Allen wrench for it is even smaller. Look how big my fingers are in the video. So it's tiny. That's the only things I wish I could have got around, but I just couldn't. Activation and buttons. It's touch plate activation. The back is for the activation. The top is for the aux. The hilt is so small that my hand bumps the aux all the time. It's a great solution. The milling work I could have done a little bit. It's very thin metal here, very thin, and the finish on the outside of the little box isn't as perfect as I'd like, but it's there. It's touch plate. It's clean. There's no more other buttons. It's hidden. It works. So it's already fired up. I think this is Revenge, the Mad Cow. I have the green dyes on a little bit, just to mix the color a bit for flash on flash. With the Crystal Focus version 6, you can turn off the main dyes when you do flash on flash, and the red-orange LED is really nice red. But I wanted to mix them a bit for my flash on flash. This font is a little bit distorted, and it's like that on my Corn Horn too. So I think it's just the font. Let me change fonts. Oops, I just selected the same one.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Let's go with Knights of the Old Republic by Machinimax.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Let me put a blade in it real quick. Just tighten this down. All right. So even mixed, that blade is quite cool. Alright, I'm going to pause, and then we're going to go in the dark. I just wanted to show you the Ahsoka. I just finished with the Tri-Rebel green, green, red, orange in the semi-dark. First I want to show you my Mark 6 so you can see what a 9.1 RGB in the Mark 6 looks like. Now here's the Ahsoka. You can tell it's a bit brighter for sure. Turn off the Mark 6. Let's go with Revenge. The hum is very bassy, and this little speaker can't quite contend with it. I think Bespin sounds pretty good. Let's try Bespin. specimen tube by myself. There it is. It's not super loud because it's not very big, and there's a tiny 18mm speaker in it, but it is working. It's cool. If you have big hands, you will trip the aux all the time, but it looks awesome. And it's got a crystal focus in it. That's it, guys. Thanks. Okay, guys, last one. Just wanted to show you the size comparison between all of these sabers. So you can see here the Ahsoka, the Parks Ahsoka that I just converted, next to Darth Vader removable blade Hasbro, Corn Horn, Mark 6 V2, and this is also the MRLE converted Qui-Gon that's up for sale now on FX Sabers and IRA forums. So it's just for fun. You can see that Ahsoka's really, really tiny. Here's my big old hand next to it, so you can get an idea how tough this was. So just for fun. As you can see, the Mark 6 and the Vader are just not bright at all. Corn Horn, I think it's a lead engine. I'm not sure what Mad Cow puts in those. This is the Mark 6 is a 9-watt RGB, and there's Tri-Rebels in both the Ahsoka and the Qui-Gon. The Ahsoka suffers a little bit from the blade being so small, and even with it's a little brighter without the diffusion wrap, but it doesn't look as cool. There you go. Lock that exposure real quick. There it is.